The Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game has over 10,000 unique cards for players to collect, trade, and construct their own personal decks. But what would happen if players only had access to the bare minimum? In this series, both the TheRJB0 and myself will each open a very select amount of sealed product. Once we open that product, we must build a deck using only those specific cards pulled. That's it. And at the end of each episode, we discard the entirety of our pulls to the graveyard and start from scratch with a new product. Every card counts. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed Showdown. The score is all tied up at 1-1, so this is going to be the chance for either Robert or myself to push ahead, and we are going to be pushing on ahead into Spell Ruler, actually known as Magic Ruler for all the old school players. If you're curious why that is, there was a little legal debacle between Wizards of the Coast and Upper Deck over the use of the word magic, obviously pertaining to Magic the Gathering, and so that's why Magic cards got turned into spell cards for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. But here we are. We have a new set. There's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and dive right in.
What can I say, folks? It feels good to win. But I am not going to sit on my laurels for this one. Episode 1, I lost 2-0, and Episode 2, I may have won 2-0, but it was possibly on the back of some, we'll say, questionable ratios on the part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro's deck builder. I intend to win this episode through skill and skill alone. We all have dreams. But this set is going to be a fascinating one to do that through. We've talked a little bit when it comes to this series about how the nature of a sealed draft environment with specifically only one product at a time is going to make for some really interesting metas, the likes of which we haven't seen in the game before. And in no set is that more true than Magic Ruler. Magic Ruler provided some game-changing cards for the constructed environment, and those cards will exist for us as well. But the difference between this and the constructed environment is the constructed environment has monsters from previous sets as well, and we do not. And as you will see, Magic Ruler does not have the most consistently, powerfully viable monsters available in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's just say it honestly, they suck. It has the Recruiters, which are spectacularly good cards, but they're all rares. It also has the Toon cards, but they are all useless unless you have Toon World, which for us is a super rare. The result of which is we are going to have to rely, most likely, on a powerful new mechanic that was introduced in this set, Ritual. Rituals as a mechanic were not made decent use of until the GX era, but today we're going to get to see them as it was originally intended, and I'm really hoping that we get some of those, that we get to show you off some real good ritual gameplay. Let's get into that set analysis. As you're seeing right from the top, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, spectacularly powerful card, almost certainly not going to be able to use it. But looking down here, we have a suite of equip spells that are all fairly good. Axe of Despair offers 1,000 attack, Black Pendant offers 500 plus some burn damage, Horn of Light offers 800 defense points, and Malevolent Nuzzler has 700 with the option to put it back on top of your deck. All fairly good. If I pull any of these, there's a good chance I'm going to play them.
Now, since we have such a heavy emphasis on equip spells this time around, one card that may be one of the best cards in the set is Maha Vilo. It is a super rare, so obviously it's not going to be guaranteed, but this card is crazy because when it's equipped with a card, it gets an extra 500 attack, so just giving a Malevolent Nuzzler bumps it up for a level 4 summon to 2750 attack. That can hit over basically anything in this format, and so if we can get this, we will 100% be playing it.
We have some alright vanillas in 2 level 4s with around 1600 attack, and then we get back into garbage. Even the defenders in this set are pretty lackluster. Invader of the Throne is probably one of our best, and it's only got 1700 defense, which is enough to defend from a Whiptail Crow, but not nearly big enough to stand up to one of the ritual monsters. Now here's where things get interesting. existing again.
Finally, getting into the spell cards for Spell Ruler, there's a lot of them, and honestly, a lot of these cards are actually just insane, and if we pull any of the high rarity spells, which we'll get to a little bit later, that's going to be a game changer. But we obviously have to look at the commons because that's going to be a lot more impactful, and Curse of Fiend is an interesting one. Change the battle position of all attack position monsters on the field to defense and vice versa. These positions cannot be changed during this turn the card is activated except by a spell, trap, or effect monster card, and you can activate this card only during your standby phase. So this is both stop defense and block attack, but the problem is we can't use it immediately. We have to wait specifically for our standby phase. So we have to basically be in a situation where we know we can activate this. It's also weird you can activate a spell card at a normal spell speed in the standby phase. Weird, but being able to then proactively act on that by being able to hit over the threat that we're taking care of, this card's actually pretty decent. Toll is actually technically one of the first few pieces of burn that's available and viable. Each player must pay 500 life points to attack. This means that you theoretically only get 15 attacks as long as this card is face up on the field. So if you're not going to win the game from it, Toll might make it so that you're not able to attack at some point unless we have some sort of removal.
Snatch Steal is Snatch Steal, the villain of the Progression series, Confiscation, and Delinquent Duo. Two of the most powerful cards in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! If we get them, we will use them.
Now, here are a couple very interesting cards coming in at common. Tailor of the Fickle and Fairy's Hand Mirror. Tailor of the Fickle is a quick play that says switch one equip card equipped to a monster to another correct target. That means we could take Robert's Malevolent Nuzzlers and equip them to our monsters and buff them up. And since the equip spells I think are so imperative, especially because Nuzzler comes in at common, this may be worth running in the main deck. But then there's also Fairy's Hand Mirror, which has a very similar effect. When your opponent activates a spell card that targets exactly one monster and no other card, target another card that would be an appropriate target. That spell now targets the new target. So this is basically Tailor of the Fickle. This does work on equip spells. I did look this up. And there's also just a handful of other cards that this could potentially mess up as well. Like, imagine if I use this on like a Snatch Steal, because Snatch Steal does in fact target. This may be meta, and I think we actually just main deck this because this card just seems insane. Another important card that targets, and this comes in at rare, so it's actually likely we will get it. Rush Recklessly. Target a face-up monster on the field to gain 700 attack until the end of this turn. So it is a one-turn Malevolent Nuzzler, but we can do it as a surprise, almost as a combat trick, right? And because of that, this makes it effectively removal because we can catch Robert off guard with it. Again, it's rare, so it's not super likely we're going to get it. We should get at least maybe one copy, two if we're super lucky, and I would really love to get this card because this is a very good card in this set.
The Forceful Sentry is equivalent to Confiscation. We get some really powerful cards right here in Mystical Space Typhoon, Giant Trunade, and Painful Choice, none of which I expect to be terribly impactful in this metagame. Black Illusion Ritual plus Relinquished would be spectacular, but both at high rarity, and you're beginning to see the problem when it comes to this set. Labyrinth Wall is a 3k defender, probably unbreakable without something like Snatch Steal.
And since we are in the equip spell meta potentially, Eternal Rest destroys all monsters equipped with equip cards. So let's say Robert has two monsters with Nuzzlers on the field, we could just Eternal Rest and kill both of them, making this actual removal, but only if they're equipped with something. So that's very conditional, but I think the equip cards are still good enough that this may be worth siding at the very least.
Then we get into the cards we came here for, the ritual monsters, Performance of Sword, Hungry Burger, and Crab Turtle. I'm hoping to get 3 of each of these along with 3 of each of the ritual cards. You know, we can probably take or leave Performance of Sword, but if I can get 3 of the Hungry Burger, 3 Crab Turtle, 3 of their ritual spells, I think we're off to the races. That'll be a great time. Crab Turtle is going to be the name of the game when it comes to the meta if we can pull them. Now these are large sets, there's a good chance that we don't, in which case our strategy gets a lot weirder.
The Toon monsters are in here. These are high rarity and you need Toon World to play them, so I don't think that's super likely to happen. Cyberjar is an insane card coming in at rare that can just throw a ton of chaos into the mix, so if we get this, we're probably going to play it. Banisher of the Light to 2k wall, which isn't terrible. And then we also get the recruiters as well. Giant Rat, UFO Turtle, there's Flying Kamakiri #1, there's Mother Grizzly. Those are all in here too. And while they all are in here at rare, it's still a very good set of cards to help get us into other monsters on the field.
We get to another set of probably terrible but probably necessary to run cards in the form of Flash Assailant, Karate Man, and Dark Zebra. These all have major restrictions on their ability to attack and defend, but they're all fairly big monsters, and so it might just be necessary. Flash Assailant decreases its attack and defense by 400 points for each card in your hand. Set your hold hand, and that's not a big problem. But if you get stuck with some monsters in hand, could be less than optimal.
Dark Zebra is an 1800 attack level 4, but if it's the only card you control during your standby phase, it's automatically placed in defense position, which makes this card a little bit weird because you need to actually have cards on the field so that you don't suffer from the horrific drawback. But it is an 1800 level 4, and it may definitely see its way into the main deck. Also, Giant Germ and Nimble Momonga can special multiple copies of themselves to the field, and also either gain you life points or take life points from the opponent. This set is just cracked.
Spear Cretin is a extremely degenerate card that will infinitely loop itself, and it's a common. That's gonna be a fun one. Ceremonial Bell is probably our most reliable defender at a grand total of 1850 defense. The hilarious thing is, even if we use this, we're gonna end up having to play with our hands open to each other. I'm not excited to figure out how to do that on Dueling Book, but you know what? If that's what winning takes, that's what winning takes. It's exciting to see that Sonic Bird is a common here, because this card is going to be crucial for getting us the ritual spells that we need for this deck.
Even the field spells make a return. Gaia Power, Yumi Ruka, Molten Destruction, Rising Air Current, these all just boost monsters of their respective attribute by 500 points. And again, paired that with some of the other cards that we have, I mean, we could see some very high attack value monsters this game. I'm excited. I think there's a lot of cool things we can do with this set, so let's go ahead and crack open 24 packs of Magic Ruler.
First pack, love to see that Sonic Bird and a Nimble Momonga and a hamburger recipe. I could do so much worse than how I just opened. And there's a toll, just in case I want to make Alex's life hell. Relinquished. Wow, if I can get Black Illusion Ritual, that's going to be a spectacular card. Also Cyberjar, again, for making this a terrible game. Guardian of the Throne Room isn't terrible either. Confiscation. What a card. And there's a Hungry Burger to go with my ritual, and a Turtle Oath, and an Upstart Goblin. This is going great so far.
Let's start with the first pack. Shining Angel's a good way to start. We did also get an Eternal Rest as well, but the rest of the pack is really not too good. Now this pack's a little bit better. Rising Air Current, Luminous Spark, Toll, Cyberjar, that's definitely going to make its way into the main deck no matter what, because it is removal, but also this is an interesting one. Ceremonial Bell. This may be a card that doesn't seem that good, but it's an 1850 defender that we can normal set, and the average monster that doesn't have an equip spell can't actually hit over this. Now, the problem is, if this card is face up, both players have to play with their hands revealed. That'd be a very, very fun mechanic, and that may actually come up. Okay, great pack. I want to see some more of this. I want to see more Malevolent Nuzzlers. I want to see more Crab Turtles. There's a Giant Germ, so if we get a few more of these, that's going to be looking nice. Snake Fang also isn't a terrible trap either. It reduces the defense of a monster by 500, so it could let us get over something larger. There isn't a lot of 2K defenders in this format that are low rarity, so we may not need this, but it's nice just to pick it up.
A Hyozen Ryu could do worse, Performance of the Sword, that's all right. Would rather have 3 of Hungry Burger and 3 of Crab Turtle, but this card isn't bad in this set. There's a Mystic Tomato, and the Reliable Guardian, fairly good. Malevolent Nuzzler is a card that's probably going to come up, so I'll probably end up running it. Flying Kamakiri, I'm not liking seeing different recruiters spread out through here, but that's really just the reality of what we're going to be expecting here. Another hamburger recipe, won't complain about that.
Ooh, there's our first super rare. It's Black Pendant. It's unfortunate that Malevolent Nuzzler is actually better than this, because Black Pendant only gives the monster 500 attack. It does do 500 damage when it's destroyed, so there is a little bit of a burn effect there, but not super fantastic. We'll probably still play it anyway because it is an equip spell. But aside from that, though, the rest of this pack is not looking too fantastic. Okay, second Crab Turtle. We definitely want to see more of those. And then a UFO Turtle, the first one of those that we are getting. Getting the recruiters is nice, but we need to get multiples of them for them to actually be good. Another recruiter in the form of Giant Rat, and there's actually a very important common. If we do go the Crab Turtle route, it is Sonic Bird. This actually searches Turtle Oath directly from the deck. This comes in at common. I would like to get Senju as well, so we can actually search the Crab Turtle, but even if we just play Sonic Bird, that's a way to get to our ritual spell much faster.
Another Nimble Momonga. Great to to see Malevolent Nuzzler again and Guardian of the Throne Room again. Fairly good pack here. Coming up on a third of the way through, and I'm a little concerned at how few crab turtles I've seen. Last time, I didn't have any Giraigumos at this point, and then I pulled 3 of them. So I'm keeping the dream alive. There's another Hungry Burger, won't complain about that. Flash Assailant is a card we're probably going to end up running, and Hyozen Ryu, fairly decent card. Chain Energy, another card to make this game terrible. Another Flying Kamakuri, not bad at all. I now have 2 of that card, which means I at least have 1 thing to float into with a recruiter.
Okay, there's a second giant germ. If we can get another one of those, that would be really nice for board presence, just being able to wall up and make it difficult for Robert to be able to hit in, like in that. Oh, yes, there we go. There is a rare Rush Recklessly. I'd love to see more of these as well. There's so many good cards at rare. I feel like almost every single rare we've pulled has been good. I think that completes our set of Crab Turtle, but we still need the Turtle O's, and there's a Tailor of the Fickle for the equip spell strategy. Everything seems like it's coming together. This is a pretty decent pack. Tailor of the Fickle, a Dark Zebra. As long as we can keep a card on the field, Dark Zebra is still the best beater we've got. Chain Energy is also pretty decent, and Mother Grizzly as a recruiter. I think we almost have one of every recruiter at this point, except like multiples of them, and we need multiples for them to be good.
Another Mystic Tomato. This is great. I now have 2 2-ofs when it comes to recruiters. I've got a lot of level 4s with decent attack points. Another Cyber Jar. Ooh. Wow, I have a lot of potential to make this game just so rough for everybody involved. And you know I might do it. But looking over here at less degenerate strategies, I do have another Sonic Bird. A Karate Man. That's a pretty good card to see. And another Gravekeeper's Servant. I don't know. This is looking less like a ritual format and more like a make Alex quit the series format.
Wow, there's a Toon World. So this actually puts tunes online for us, but we did get a Manga Ryuran a little bit earlier, but I don't know if the tunes are that good. Removal is a bit scarce, so if we get enough of them, maybe it's an option, but with only 1 Toon World, I don't know if it's good enough. Karate Man's a very funny card, though. We may play this. Oh my god, that is a big hit. Megamorph in the ultra rare slot. This is definitely one of the better ultras for sure. Being able to double the attack of one of our monsters if our life points are lower than Robert's, that's just insane. Also a second Mother Grizzly, so we're getting a few more of these recruiters here. I think this might be our second or third Toll and second or third Tailor of the Fickle as well. Not too bad. I think that's our second Malevolent Nuzzler, so that's good. Even if we didn't get a third, which I really hope we do, but even if we didn't, I'd be okay with 2. And there's a Nimble Mamanga. God, that kind of sucks. That could have been a giant germ, and then we would have been all set for the giant germ package. That would have been nice, but guess the cards didn't fall that way.
There's a Crab Turtle. Okay, so I now have at least 1 Turtle Oath and 1 Crab Turtle. Glad to see it. And there's another Upstart Goblin, getting better and better, and another hamburger recipe. Consistency improves a lot. Horn of the Unicorn, also a fairly good card, gives a lot of stats. Another Karate Man. Okay, and is that my first Spear Cretin? Interesting. And a Dark Zebra. Could do worse. Another Flying Kamakuri. Oh, that is so good to see. I now have a 3-of a recruiter and a 2-of a recruiter.
Okay, I mean, it's not the best super rare. It's Banisher of the Light. It's cool because it's a 2K wall, but aside from that, it doesn't really do a whole lot. We did get another Shining Angel and a Sonic Bird, and I guess another Tailor of the Fickle, so not terrible, but not the best. Whoa, there's another really big hit. Giant Trunade. Now, that doesn't destroy the cards. Obviously, we're not Metal Raiders with Heavy Storm anymore, but Giant Trunade's pretty nice if we want to clear our path just to be able to get in for game. We could be seeing Robert play something with Toll or Chain Energy, and Giant Trunade could be the wave to allow us to make our push. Oh my god, that's like maybe the best equip spell. I don't know, Megamorph's pretty good too, but Axe of Despair? Wow, Magic Ruler's being so generous to me. That is so good.
Another Cyber Jar. And a Sonic Bird, and an Upstart Goblin. Wow, this is gonna be a weird episode. A Mother Grizzly. Okay, wow, these recruiters just keep coming. But I'm still not seeing many ritual monsters, and I only have 3 packs to go. Let's hope for at least 1 more Crab Turtle. There it is. There's another Crab Turtle and another Turtle Oath. This is looking great. And another Flying Kamakuri. This thing might as well be my avatar at this point. I am getting so much of this one recruiter. And you know, it could be worse because I do also have Sonic Bird, which it floats into. Last 2 packs. What weirdness can I open here? Giant Trunade, a Giant Rat, a Spear Cretin. Okay. Okay, anything up here? Another whiptail crow, horn of the unicorn. All right, this is a weird opening. I have no idea what we're gonna do with it, but I'm excited to do whatever that'll be.
Only a few packs left to go, ladies and gentlemen, and wow, this has been a crazy set of pulls. Robert doesn't stand a chance this episode. I am sorry. There is no way he's winning this. I think this may be the third Malevolent Nuzzler. Good to see that. Let's go ahead and move on, though. 2 packs remaining. Flip them up. Wow, a second Toon World. I wish this was just 2 super rares I could have actually used, but it would have been funny if we pulled more of the Toon cards to be able to maybe experiment with. I think that's our third Shining Angel, so that's pretty cool if that is the case. Let's go ahead and move on. Last pack. Can we get something good? Painful Choice? I don't even know if Painful Choice is good in this format. We have to specifically send 5? I think I'd rather keep the cards in my deck, but wow, what an opening. Oh my god. Robert, you are so dead, my friend. There's no way you're winning this. Let's go ahead and load up Dueling Book. I can't wait to deck build with this.
Well, we've put together the cards for a respectable ritual deck. This is a normal summon, special summon, big bungus monsters with equip spells and field spells to boost their attack deck, the quality of which you have come to know and expect from this series. But this is not what we're going to play tonight. This is what we're playing tonight. Yes, ladies, gentlemen, monarchs of every element, tonight we play Empty Jar. Yes, I saw 3 Cyber Jar and 3 Spear Cretin, and the jank wheels in my brain started turning. A few more interactions that I encountered along the way, and I decided I had to put together a deck that would make the version of me in 2016 that played competitively spin over in their grave. I'm so excited, folks. Now, I could have played that ritual deck. I would have had something fairly decent, but I didn't pull cards that I thought would really create a deck that would threaten Alex if he got anything halfway decent out of it. If he got roughly the same ritual pull as me, and then any decent hollows out of it, I was probably not going to have a deck that would be better than his. But really, those are all excuses. I just wanted to play jank, so let's get into it. So first of all, 3 Cyber Jar. This card was legal at 3 at some point in advanced format, but I never got to play it, and it was almost certainly a nightmare, so now I'm going to inflict this on Alex. For those of you who do not know, Cyber Jar, when it's flipped face up, destroys all monsters on the field, reveals the top 5 cards of both players' deck, summons all monsters that are level 4 or lower in either face-up attack position or face-down defense position, and then adds everything else to your hand. This does this for both players, which means that if I resolve 3 Cyber Jars, I've removed 15 cards from both players' decks. If I resolve more than that, we're really off to the races, and that's where Spear Cretin comes in. Now, Spear Cretin has utility for resetting Cyber Jar, and that's especially fun when it's your first Spear Cretin. But the real value of Spear Cretin is that once I get 2 of these, 1 in the grave, 1 on the field, it creates a lock I highly doubt Alex can get around. All I need to do is reduce the number of cards in Alex's deck, set up this lock, and we have a game, my friends. Now, there's something you may have noticed when I first mentioned that I was playing a mill deck. A, I have 40 cards in this deck, the same number of cards that Alex will have in his deck, and B, I have recruiters in here. Strange for a deck that's meant to reduce the number of cards in both players' decks and end up with more cards in your deck than your opponent has. We'll get to that, but most importantly, Mystic Tomato gets me to my first Spear Cretin. Even if it can't activate its effect, putting a Spear Cretin on the board so I can get into that lock is going to be very important. Next, we have Flash Assailant. It's got 2,000 attack and defense. Even though it loses attack and defense, if I have cards in my hand, I'm going to be playing my whole hand all the time, no matter what anyway. So, it's not terrible. Next, we have basically walls. These monsters have the ability to be beat sticks. They have the ability to have big booties under cards that increase defense points, and that's really all I need them to be. The fact that they have decent attack is helpful for getting over Alex's monsters early in the game so that he can't establish enough field presence to really break my board along the way. So these are just highly versatile, and so that's good for me. Next, we have Ceremonial Bell. I wish I pulled more of these. It's got 1850 defense. That's pretty much all I need to say about it. It's It's going to create a nightmare of a game state, but, you know, we take what we can get. Dark Zebra. See above about running over my opponent's monsters to clear the board early. Now, you'll notice I don't have any Heroes Shadow Scout or any Banishers of the Light. These both would have made my life a lot easier, but I straight up didn't pull any. So this is what I'm going with. Let's get into spell cards, the heart and soul of this deck. We start off with the bane of every Yu-Gi-Oh player's childhood, Gravekeeper Servant. If your opponent attacks, they gotta mill a card. If you get 2 of these, they gotta mill 2 cards. There's no downside, other than that it's essentially a blank card. But if I can set up the Spear Cretan lock, pluses and minuses don't matter at all. All that matters is whittling down Alex's deck. This card is absolutely terrible, and hopefully it will do to Alex what it does to every child in 2003. We've got Toll, another card that disincentivizes attacking. It provides a burn alt win condition. If I can keep running over Alex's monsters and then establish Toll after that, it'll really help me out. Next, we have Chorus of Sanctuary. It increases my monster's defense. The Reliable Guardian does the same thing, but in the damage step. And then my favorite part of this deck, the thing that brings us all together, the equip spells. Now, they increase my monster's stats by a respectable amount, and that's very important for setting up a wall and getting over Alex's monsters, but they do one thing more important than that. They stack my deck. If I get to the late game, Alex has 1 card in his deck, I have 1 card in my deck, and I can get one of these things into my graveyard. Suddenly, I have more cards in my deck than Alex does, and I'm winning the game. This pairs very well with my favorite interaction that this episode is going to have to offer, which is Eternal Rest. If I can stack all of these cards up on one of my monsters later on in the game when I'm threatening to run out of cards, and so is Alex, I can put all of these cards back on the deck at once by destroying the monster they're equipped to, and it's basically guaranteed that I'm going to win. More importantly, though, I can equip these all to Alex's monsters for an absolute blowout. Is this a good strategy? Almost certainly not, but I saw this interaction and I had to try for it. I've labbed it a couple of times and some interesting things have come out of it. I've certainly established the Cretan lock and gotten a few cyber jars in enough times that I felt like it was worth it. Of course, we've got confiscation. That's not going to change things very much. Of course, we've got confiscation to finish off its confiscation, but that's the strategy of the deck overall. The side deck is a little weird looking, admittedly. I built this deck to beat the ritual strategy. I expect that that's what Alex is going to be playing, so I'm not going to be siding for it very much. What I need to side for is if Alex is also playing bullshit, because this deck, it turns out, loses very strongly to Chain Energy. Empty Jar, even though it's a stall deck, wants to play a lot of cards. Chain Energy really screws up that strategy. If Alex is also on a stall strategy, I need to play into a strategy that isn't going to require me to play quite so many cards and play quite so many bad cards, let's be clear. And so I built a smokescreen beatdown deck. The combination, Water Beaters and Umiruka, allows me to get rid of Alex's field spells, including things like Chorus of Sanctuary or any other field spell he may be pulling for bullshit. Gaia Power does the same thing, but for Dark Zebra. And then Chain Energy, if I do side into a beatdown strategy, it could behoove me to have my own Chain Energy if Alex is playing some other form of bullshit that I'm not expecting. And then finally, the worst tech of the deck, Final Destiny. If Alex really gets off to the races with a degenerate strategy like mine, being able to destroy the whole board may actually be worth 5 cards in my hand. Keep in mind, my plan is to stall out the game state. I intend to have 6 cards in my hand by the end, no matter what. Losing 5 to destroy the board may turn out to be worth it, especially against the Spear Cretan lock in the instance that I have to side into beatdown. This thing is an abomination, but I absolutely had to try it because this is my one chance, probably in the entire series, to play Empty Jar. Cyber Jar Spear Cretan, here I come.
All right, you guys. So remember how a moment ago I said how excited I was to start building for Magic Ruler? Well, then I remembered this card is in the set, and yeah, maybe it's not going to be as fun as I thought. So for those of you who have never seen Spear Cretan before, it's a flip effect monster that when it's sent to the graveyard after being flipped, each player selects one monster from their graveyard and special summons it in either face-up attack or face-down defense position. That means if you have another copy of this in your graveyard, you can set another one, and they will infinitely loop one another, so you basically never have to commit a monster to the field ever. And when we're doing a sealed sort of series and we're lacking removal, then this card is going to be a problem, which basically makes this, as a matter of fact, the meta. So we have to find some ways to creatively out this card, because I imagine Robert's probably going to be on the same idea here and And so let's go ahead and do the card by card. Funny enough, the ways that we can out this are right at the top of our deck. Banisher of the Light. On top of this being a 2000 defense wall, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Spear Cretin specifically has to go to grave, so the nice thing here is that if I actually just draw this, I could normal summon it and then start hitting into Spear Cretin, and I can crack the board from there. So this is a way to technically stop that. We also have Cyberjar, which just wipes the whole board, so that would also put an end to it, just like Banisher of the Light. So, I mean, we have a couple of outs. There's also some more creative things we can do as well. We'll save that for a bit later. One Dark Zebra, just because it's an 1800 body. We should typically have a card on the field. We can just set any card in the spell department and we'll be fine with this. So I think this card's okay. 2 Mother Grizzly. So I'm not playing all of my recruiters. I do have Giant Germs, Giant Rat, and Mystic Tomato and UFO Turtle. We'll talk about why I'm not playing those a little bit later. Mother Grizzly, though, I am actually playing a slight lean into the water attribute here, and we'll talk about why that is a little bit later. 3 Shining Angel. This actually gets us 2 Banisher of the Light, which could be important, but since we have 3 of this actually makes this maybe the best recruiter, since we can just keep getting more copies of itself. 3 Sonic Bird to search our 2 Turtle Oath. Can't believe we only pulled 2 of this. 3 Spear Cretin, the man himself, and 3 High Tide Gyojin, as well as 2 Red Archery Girl to go with our water-based package. So the theory here is that I want to have some ways to be able to just make larger monsters without relying on a card like Malevolent Nuzzler, even though we can constantly recycle this card over and over again. But if you take a High Tide Gyojin with something like a Yumi Ruka, you're able to make it a 2150 attacker, which can get over any recruiter plus a Malevolent Nuzzler, and I kind of like just having a body that can do that, so I thought that was actually kind of neat. And Red Archery Girl goes up to 1900 just from Umi Ruka, so that means that we should have a way to just have bigger bodies. And if Robert isn't on this water sort of theme, I mean, he may be on Crab Turtle, so he's going to be playing a water anyway. This actually boosts Crab Turtle to 3k, which is kind of nuts too, but I mean, we can deal with Crab Turtle in other ways aside from just attack power, and so I want to give this little water package a shot. I'm not sure if this is correct, so if it's not, we can side it out for the actual recruiters, but I think some of the just minor attack differences could actually matter in the grand scheme of things, and so I figure we'll go ahead and give it a shot. 3 Crab Turtle. This is the biggest monster we're going to have access to, and if we start putting some equip spells on this thing, man, is this going to get out of hand quickly. Cool thing is that with Spear Cretin, if we properly ritual summon this, we can actually resurrect it off of the Spear Cretin, and so that may actually be relevant for pushing for a lot of damage if we get Spear Cretin set up before Robert does, and so that could actually matter. For the spells, boy, do we have a lot of them, and boy, are they choice. 1 Axe of Despair, boosting a monster's attack by 1000 is huge in this format. So happy to see this. Black Pendant's only 500, but it'll get the job done in most cases. Curse of Fiend. This is actually another way that we can out Spear Cretin. So if Spear Cretin is set face down, Curse of Fiend will actually switch it face up to attack position, because obviously you can't control a face down attack position monster, although Darkness Approaches was a card in this set. And Curse of Fiend being able to do that means that it will force the Spear Cretin to go early, which if Robert has the loop going, means that he will set the Spear Cretin in his graveyard, or maybe not, but if he doesn't, then we can attack that Spear Cretin. He's out of Cretins in the graveyard at that point, so we actually break the lock as long as we just kill all the rest of the monsters off. This is actually a pretty cool way to work around this, and also just work around a lot of the cards in this format. It's a bit of a weird card, but I think we definitely need to play 3 of this. Also puts Crab Turtle to defense so we can possibly hit over it, and with Umi Ruka specifically, it'll knock Crab Turtle down to 2100, which a High Tide Gyojin plus Umi Ruka can actually hit over. 1 Giant True Nade. I guess this is pretty good for all of the equip spells we might have running around, so being able to kind of just level out some of the monster's attack power, and then we can set up our equip spells again first. I think that's really big. 3 Malevolent Nuzzler for attack power, as well as Megamorph. That's a big one too. I was playing Painful Choice, but now that I think about it, I'm actually going to cut this and make my deck slightly more consistent. It's good to set up a Spear Cretin, but at the same time, it's not the greatest, because if I only send 1, he could just give me the Spear Cretin, so now it's not in the graveyard and I have to waste a turn summoning 1. But if I send 2, he could just give me neither, and so that was the initial thinking there, but I don't think it's actually as good as I thought, so I'm actually going to go ahead and cut it. 1 Rush Recklessly for extra attack power. 3 Tailor of the Fickle. I was really hyping up Fairy's Hand Mirror, but Tailor of the Fickle is actually better in almost every single scenario, because all of the cards that would target that are spell cards are equip cards, right? I think the only other one that doesn't is Rush Recklessly. Problem is, this is being used in the damage step, which we're not going to be able to use Fairy's Hand Mirror in response. It has to be used on activation. And so Tailor of the Fickle is better because we can use this at any time. It doesn't have to be on the activation of the equip spell. So being able to steal the equip spells at any point, even something like Snatch Steal, that could be pretty funny. Tailor of the Fickle, I think, is definitely just the better move, and we definitely need to max out on it. 2 Turtle Oath, as I already mentioned, and 3 Umiruka. I'm actually just really liking how this is all coming together, and I can't wait to see if it actually works. But if not, we do have the side deck. 3 Giant Germ. You might think I'm crazy for not playing this, but I don't think this card's necessarily that good in this specific deck because I like having the level 4s for being able to get to Crab Turtle, and Giant Germ being a level 2 doesn't really fit the build too well. And I guess the only redeeming factor here is it gets me 2 monsters on the field that are 1,000 attack. So if I have something else, then I can start pushing for a significant amount of damage very quickly. But I'm just not convinced that that's good enough in this particular deck. If this was like a tribute monster instead of a ritual, I would 100% play this, but I don't think it's actually worth playing in the main. 2 Giant Rat, a Mystic Tomato, and a UFO Turtle. These are the rest of the recruiters that I pulled, but they're the worst because I don't really have any targets for them, but they're extra bodies, and so at least Giant Rat and UFO Turtle can search themselves, so that's not too bad. 1 Chain Energy, only pulled 1 of this, along with 3 Toll if we want to go to a little bit of a slower burn sort of style here, and then 3 copies of Eternal Rest to just flat out destroy all monsters equipped with equip spells. I honestly like Tailor of the Fickle better because I like being able to steal the equip spells for myself rather than just destroying the monsters, but depending on how many equip spells he's on, we may need to bring this in as well. That's gonna do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see what Robert brought to the table, but ladies and gentlemen, it's time to duel. Post Malone, welcome back to another episode of Sealed Showdown. How you doing today, buddy?
What can I say? You'll lose today. We're gonna do this. We're gonna party on this channel, Alex. And I'm very glad, the Yu-Gi-Oh community doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. And
Truly
so I'm glad
not.
that especially after Konami has lost its precious brand ambassador, that I can bring the publicity that this community really needs.
Yeah, we're just getting to the point now where the first Sealed Showdown was released, so we do film a couple of these ahead just to have any time to edit or do anything that we have to in case something comes up. And so it's been really fun seeing your guys' comments and seeing your feedback and your excitement overall for the series. And at the time of recording this, you guys haven't seen Metal Raiders yet, so I'm talking in the context of a time that doesn't currently exist. But if you guys got that first episode, the Metal Raiders one was nuts. That episode was on another level.
It was wild, and what can I say? The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, Alex. Let's see what the Lord gave you this time.
Yeah, this is a much different scenario. I was thinking going into this was actually going to be a lot of fun, and Robert, candidly, if it wasn't for the asshole Spear Cretin, you would 100% lose this. I guarantee that. But because of Spear Cretin, on the other hand, that makes this a little bit more problematic, and so I feel very good about my pulls. I am like almost 10 out of 10 about my pulls this time. It was very, very good to me. What about you? How do you feel?
Well, then I am glad I am pulling bullshit because honestly, that is the only thing I have in my favor compared to the godliness that you probably got this time, Alex.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't wait to see what you got, buddy. Damn, I don't know why I went scissors. I think that was a mistake. It is.
That's
what it
okay.
is.
I'm probably going to give you what you want this time. I'm going to start second.
What are you doing? The fact you're already opting for second. What? Okay. Good luck,
Show
buddy.
me confiscation, Alex.
That's true. That's true. If I had any of the hand destruction, I would know exactly what you're up to is the funny thing. Okay. Well, now I need to figure out how I want to navigate this. What are you up to? Well, why would you purposefully make
Alex.
me go first? That is so suspicious. I don't trust this. I don't trust it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and lead on a copy of Dark Zebra, and I'm going to set a couple of cards face down, and I'll pass it over to you, buddy.
A precocious move, my friend. Let's begin. Well, to start things off, since you didn't have it, I'll use it myself.
Wow.
Show me the hand, buddy.
Okay. All right. There's one card I want you to pick, and if I had a different hand, I would have, set it up so that this would happen in case you did open it. But here we go, buddy. I think I know what the target is here, if I had to guess.
Well, let's see. All right, Alex. Well, you've got the asshole himself in your hand, and that's certainly not something I want to see, but setting him up in your graveyard for the lock is probably also not great.
I think that's definitely incorrect. I think you should take the Spear Cretin now because, I think if you get it out of my hand now, then the game's just going to go on longer. So it's, the Spear Cretin of ad revenue.
That's true. The more we Cretan, the more you make. It's all about dollar bills. Interesting choices available to me right now. That Shining Angel tells me some things about your deck. You're certainly, absolutely 100% certain on rituals. Umiruka wouldn't make sense if you weren't. Especially with Shining Angel, I'm thinking you pulled at least one Senju to make Shining Angel worthwhile in this deck. Not that Senju is something you want to get out of your deck, but it's at least something that you can go into Shining Angel if you need to have a line available to you. I am going to discard the Spear Cretin.
What? Robert? Buddy, are you feeling okay over
Alex,
there?
I am feeling 100% okay, Alex. Whether or not I am remains to be seen. I'm going to set a monster, set a back row, and activate Toll.
Oh, you're on this garbage. Okay, that makes sense.
It's your turn.
Okay, figured. All right, I'll draw. Oh, you went the burn route, buddy. Really?
Oh, buddy. Oh, my sweet summer child. You'll see.
You had to have gone burn. Like, if you're... I guess you could just play Toll by itself, but if... I don't... Toll plus Chain Energy just seems too good to play, not to pass up if you're going to go that route. I want to know what your set is, and the set's interesting because there's a lot of just really good cards to set. There's all of the Recruiters, Spear Cretin if you get the loop set up. There's a couple cards that are actually difficult for us to get over because there's, like, Ceremonial Bell, which, funny enough, actually holds off a lot of the 4-star line, even though it's 1850. But the equipped spells can definitely change that quite a bit. I'm gonna go to battle. Let's just hit in and see what you're on.
Well, Alex, prepare to figure out some mechanics on Dueling Book. It's
Here we go.
Bell.
Here we go.
Right.
All right. So both players must keep their hand revealed. Fortunately, you already know what's in my hand, but I did draw a card. I drew a Turtle Oath. So I'll go ahead and just reveal that to you. Now, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this, but I think the best way to do it is go ahead and reveal your hand, because I need to see what you're doing now.
Yes, you do.
Whiptail Crow, Dark Zebra of your own. Interesting. Okay, I can just type, Zebra and Crow over here in the chat. We'll do it that way. So then that way we're not having to keep our hand constantly up. And then I also take 50 damage from that attack. Your Ceremonial Bell is quite formidable.
You take 500 for attacking under
I
Toll.
do also, yes. So the toll will be paid. Then I will go to main 2. I don't know if there's any incentive to start clogging up the board with guys. I guess I'll throw down the Shining Angel.
That's probably going to mess up our board state. Is that you had Dark Zebra on the board without a monster during your standby phase.
So it's the only card I control.
Oh, card.
It just has to be any card. So the fact that I had set cards doesn't say monster, it just says card.
Well, I have continued in the grand tradition of your series of the person you're playing against not reading the cards they have available.
Welcome to the series, buddy. Welcome to the series. Go ahead.
It doesn't change my game plan in the slightest.
So what did you draw?
What I got. This is what I drew.
Chorus, you're just going all defense. This is incredible. Okay, sure.
I am going to activate my Chorus of Sanctuary.
Sure.
And I am going to set a mystery monster, and it's your go.
Okay, so that's probably your Whiptail Crow. I think Whiptail Crow actually has 1,600 defense, maybe 1,300 defense. I think Guardian of the Throne Room has the 1,600, so that's a bit annoying. Okay, we'll draw. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Not feeling too spectacular about it yet, though. I drew a Giant Trunade, by the way.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a lot less good when you know about it.
It's somewhat less good when I know about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because now I just can't completely blow you out with it. Chorus of Sanctuary, huh?
It's true.
The viewers are going to love you after this one. Go ahead, buddy. What's the draw?
They are. All right, and the draw is... I dislike having to reveal my strategy this early. But this is my draw.
Okay, Eternal Rest main deck. I thought about that as well. I think it's definitely worthy in this form. Are you playing Horn of Light, Robert? Fuck off if you're playing Horn of Light. Oh my god.
I will reveal nothing.
Yeah, okay.
However,
yeah, he's on Horn of Light. Anyway, continue.
Things you could have face down do include Rush Recklessly, which is not a good look for me. However, I think I am benefited more by taking the proactive approach and normal summoning my Dark Zebra.
Okay, so I know now that you have Whiptail Crow set. Sure, go ahead.
I'm going to go into the battle phase.
Okay.
And I'm going to take my 500 to attack into your face-down monster.
Sure.
Your mystery face-down monster.
It's the Shining Angel. You know, could have been anything. And I will trigger the effect.
Could have been anything.
And we'll get another Shining Angel.
Excellent. Your go, Alex.
All right. Let's draw. Okay, now we might be able to start making some things happen here. The draw was Mother Grizzly, by the way.
Okay.
And that is why I think we can start making some things happen. So I think we should probably push now while it is in our best favor to do so. Okay, I'm going to start by firing Giant Trunade.
Sensible. I am going to decide if I'm going to respond to that.
Gotta rush recklessly. Better use it now.
You've got Turtle Oath in hand, Trunade, which you just activated, and Grizzly. What are you going to be able to accomplish on this turn? You're going to be able to do some things with back row, most likely. Most likely equip spells. It could be Rush Recklessly, but that seems like it wouldn't be worth the Giant Trunade. God, I hate Giant Trunade. Heavy Storm
you know what's
is
even
a
better?
blowout card.
The cards go back to hand, so they're going to get revealed on top of it.
I hate that I am going to know whether or not my decision was correct immediately. No, I hate Giant Trunade, and this has been true since I started the game, because while Heavy Storm is a blowout, Giant Trunade poses no risk to the person playing it. And the fact that I have to make a decision as to whether or not to respond to your Giant Trunade when you lose nothing for my having made either a decision is bullshit. I hate this card. Okay, I do have to go for it. I am going to chain the Reliable Guardian.
Shut
and
up!
I am going to target my Ceremonial Bell. Which puts my Ceremonial Bell to 2550.
Oh, it's at 3050. You forgot the course. After the course of Sanctuary goes. Okay, so that's fine. Right. Then the cards, the Trunade does not go back to it. That'd be broken. It is a Turtle Oath, and it is a Rush Recklessly of my own.
Okay, all right. I think I made the correct decision then.
So now I think we're just going to go ahead and do a bit of cleanup here. So we're going to go to the battle phase.
Okay.
I'm going to... I guess I'm just a little bit concerned of what else you could possibly have. That is one big fucking bell, Robert.
It's a big bell.
Oh my... That can actually contest Crab Turtle. That is incredible. That's incredible. Okay, so how do I want to do this?
Alex, I do not envy the position that you're in.
What's Whiptail Crow's defense? I know you have it.
It is 1600.
It is... Shit, it is 1600. Okay.
It is indeed.
I know the rest of your hand is not that fantastic. Okay, here's what we're going to do. This is a bit tricky. I'm going to smash into the Whiptail Crow with Zebra.
Okay, all right.
And then, do I really want to do this now? You're not really drawing much. Your hand is Bell, Eternal Rest, Toll. So you don't really have a lot going on at this point. I'm going to rush recklessly over the Zebra with Shining Angel.
A plan. So that is an Angel with 2100 attack. I will take 300 over my Zebra.
Yep. And then main 2, you know my whole hand, so there's no point to set anything anymore, so go ahead.
I do indeed know your whole hand. Interesting. Let's reveal that.
Well, what was that draw? Oh, it's a Whiptail Crow. Okay.
And I think you know exactly what I'm about to do. I'm going to activate these 2 cards.
Sure.
Ooh, this poses an interesting question. If I run into your Shining Angel, you're almost certainly going to summon at least another Shining Angel, if not a Senju. If it's a Senju, then you're going to have to make a decision about whether or not you want to keep that in your deck in case you draw it. That would be less than ideal. Drawing into... If I just turtle up, so to speak. Knowing that Umiruka is in your hand, I cannot rely on defense alone. I am going to normal summon my Whiptail Crow.
Sure.
In the main phase. And I'm going to go to battle, and I'm going to attack Shining Angel.
Sure. And this is actually where I'm getting punished here. I shouldn't have put the Zebra.
What am I doing? I attacked with Toll on the field before I could have gone into main phase 2. This is my dueling book brain at work.
What a nice misplay. That's nice to see.
It is a very convenient misplay for you, Alex, and I hope that you use it well.
That's pretty cool. Oh, actually, let me trigger the Shining Angel. Let's not mess up, because I do have a trigger. It will be another Shining Angel. So my draw was actually your worst nightmare. It is the Crab Turtle.
Okay, all right.
So
plays are occurring.
Yeah, so we've got some interesting things going on here now, and I do need to be mindful of the fact that Toll is face up, but honestly, I'm feeling kind of good with the board state right now. I'm going to go ahead and normal summon a Mother Grizzly.
Okay.
I'm going to fire Umiruka, which destroys the Chorus of Sanctuary.
Chorus of Sanctuary.
Because we are playing with the old field spell rule from back in the day, and that will actually put my Mother Grizzly to 1900 attack.
Pretty beefy one.
And we'll hit over the Ceremonial Bell.
Yep. And
Zebra into the Crow.
So that is 150.
And then Angel Direct. And I'll take 1500 from all three of these attacks.
Oh, I made a strategic error. Alex, I am not used to old school Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yep.
In fact, a plan that I specifically built this deck around is not paying off.
To be fair, I don't know if you planned on me playing field spells. So...
It is definitely a miscalculation on my part.
I will set one of the Turtle Oaths as well, just in case my board gets wiped with Dark Zebra again. Figure it's a little bit of a precaution. What'd you draw there, buddy? It's so fun. Oh, no, Bell's gone.
Get to know.
I'm sorry, Bell's gone. I don't get to know anymore. That's so sad.
So you have a grand total of 1400 is 28.
This is 5100 damage I have on board. So you're dead if you do nothing.
Not good for me. Okay. Oh, this is bad. This is bad.
And you only have one card that could possibly do anything.
I'm not revealing this to you.
Are you conceding then?
I am conceding.
Oh, okay. Wow. Umiruka coming in clutch.
You know, I am clearly not in my right mind. I knew that that was a possibility. I looked it straight in the eye, and in fact, I put cards in my side deck to use that exact strategy to counter my own strategy in case you were playing something similar, and I still discarded this. This, Alex, is why you made it to the feature match at YCS Seattle. I did not. Well, you know, Alex, I pulled the parts for a perfectly respectable deck in this set, and I knew that I had the chance to take this one away, but I just had to do something that I could only do in Magic Ruler.
What,
and
activate the reliable guardian?
I will not lie, I am currently being punished for my hubris. Let's hope that this deck plays as intended this time around.
So does that mean you're letting me go first again? Oh my god, you are. What, you're like a lunatic. What is, I get playing the slow defense deck. I get that. But going, I think the only logic here for you going second is to make it so that you deck me. That's the only thing I can think of. But good luck, buddy. I guess we'll see what happens. I will start with a set, and I know you're playing these goddamn ceremonial bells, so part of me almost just wants to set all of my back row, so I think I'm going to set a bunch of it. So I'll set a few cards, pass over to you. Go ahead.
Sounds good, Alex. Okay, I'm going to draw for turn. Start out with a set monster much like your own, and to begin the playground nightmare that this deck is intended to pull.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to activate a card and set a back row, and it is your go.
Gravekeep, if there is a card that is the poster child for Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! I definitely think Gravekeeper's Servant is one of them. I remember this in the Game Boy Advance games and thinking that this was like the best card ever. And this card, it's interesting. It's interesting. We'll say that. I'll draw.
Alex, are you quaking in terror at the unbeatable board I've set up? You know, back in elementary school, I can remember every child being just like absolutely paralyzed by this card. I hated it when my opponent pulled it on me.
Yeah, it was not great. No, I'll go to main one here. I know you're gonna set some nonsense. It's probably another ceremonial bell or something else equally as annoying. I'm gonna set one. I'm going to normal summon the High Tide Gyojin.
Ooh.
Yeah, I went pretty deep on this water strategy. I'm not going to lie.
You nailed the pronunciation too, Alex.
We'll go to battle. Let's hit in. I will mill the top card of my deck as a result. And, oh, wow, that would have been a good one. But, from the field to graveyard, so I can't put it back on top. That'd be cool. But
it would be.
Go ahead. Show me the bell. I know it's a bell.
It is not. I am going to confuse you further by setting a Mystic Tomato to the grave. And
I mean, no, I think that makes sense that you play those tomatoes in this deck. You know, you just need more bodies.
I do indeed. I'm going to summon a Mystic Tomato for my deck.
Okay, that seems pretty good to me. I'll go to main 2 then, and I guess I'll just pass the turn on that. Go ahead, buddy.
A wise move, Alex. Having drawn for turn, I have a couple of options here. One of them is sub-ideal for me at the moment. Wow, Alex, I thought I was going to be able to play faster in this episode than I have previously because my game plan in this deck is, like, so linear compared to other decks I've played so far, but honestly, I have more options than I have in the entire series so far just in this one hand right now. Are any of them good? Probably not, but they
sounds pretty
options.
Stacked, though.
But I think this might be the move. I am going to go for confiscation.
Again with the confiscation. Well, pay your 1,000 and I'll reveal. It's not bad.
It is not. Curse of Fiend is rough for my deck. Red Archery Girl is more field presence, but not particularly terrifying field presence without the Umeruka. But, you know, who am I to say that you're not going to pull that on me anyway? I am going to discard that Curse of Fiend because it does pose an immediate threat to me.
Yeah, Curse of Fiend, I actually thought about firing it last turn, but I figured I'd wait till maybe you have a bigger board set up and I can just like flip everything up at once. And obviously that didn't happen because now I lost it to confiscation.
Indeed. All right, I'm going to switch this going to defense. I am going to set a monster and end my turn.
Shocking. Very, very shocking gameplay.
Very shocking gameplay.
We'll draw.
Riveting stuff.
Well, I guess I just need to keep building the board and just keep trying to get in while I can, I suppose. So let's normal summon a giant rat. Then I will flip up this shining angel as well. Okay. So let's go to battle. Let's hit here. I will mill one.
Okay.
Oh,
ooh,
that sucks.
Love to
that
see
sucks.
it. Okay.
That sucks.
And from the deck, I am going to summon a card that I am going to pay for in life points. So later on down the road, may be important for me to have available to me.
Yep, this card is annoying. Okay. I'm trying to think about the cards that I saw in the previous game. I think the High Tide Gyojin can hit over the Whiptail Crow. So part of me wants to almost send the rat into the Cretan. Part of me is also not like super motivated to hit that. The only reason I am is because it just would deal life point damage to you, which is cool. But I almost want to find out what your set card is first. And it's weird because you're playing this like high defense deck. So I don't know like what exactly I want to hit in with here. But I think in the interest of trying to clear your board out, I'm going to go ahead and swing with the Gyojin into the set. I will mill another card. And it is a crap turtle.
Not take the bait. Congratulations. Okay. Well done.
Throne Room also has 1600 defense, which is scary. And then you'll take 900 here. I'll mill another card.
I will take 900. Okay. And there goes the boy.
And over to you, buddy.
All right, let's draw for turn, Alex. Oh, it keeps getting better, Alex. It keeps getting better. Let's go for another Gravekeeper's Servant.
Shit.
And I am going to set another back row from my hand. The chances that you pulled Rush Recklessly are very, very high. And I don't like those chances, so I am going to set... It hurts. I'm going to set another monster face down and end my turn. My strategy is really the most showy and fantastic one, Alex.
Seems like it. I'll draw. Now, This is getting very bad. So, just on board, I'm milling 6 cards.
True.
Just to attack with these 3 monsters.
You are indeed.
Assuming I hit through, of course. I'm trying to think about the types of cards you could have set in this format. There's no like reactive trap that will destroy things realistically. You know, I mean, there are, but like Eat Gaboon and House of Adhesive Tape aren't exactly prime removal. So how do we do this? I think I just almost need to close the clock as quickly as I can. So I think that's what we're going to try to do here because there isn't really board wipes in this format, apart from a couple like situational cards. But I'm going to normal summon Sonic Bird and trigger the effect.
Ooh, I do not like the sound of that. All right, Alex.
So we'll grab a Turtle Oath, which gives us 1/2 of a crab turtle.
It does.
Now, I want to ensure that I can hit over the defensive monster, even if I don't necessarily know what it is. So I'm going to flip up a black pendant and equip it to my High Tide Gyojin.
Okay.
So this will make him 21 150, which basically means he can hit over almost anything. Not guaranteed, but it's a lot of stuff that he can hit over now.
Indeed.
So we'll go to battle, and we will hit. I will mill 2 cards, which is a Mother Grizzly and an Umiruka.
Ooh, you did hit my Flash Assailant.
The 2000 Defender.
The 2000 Defender.
And I will mill 6 cards. I will mill Curse of Fiend, Red Archery Girl, Mother Grizzly, Turtle Oath. Good thing I got the other one. Banisher of the Light.
Ooh,
you get to see that.
Wow.
And no!
What, Alex? Oh my goodness. I mean, it's not really making that big of a difference because just your choosing a correct strategy is getting you through this. Even if your polls would not.
Go ahead.
On a draw. That is not ideal. So I'm going to take this opportunity to activate Eternal Rest. Make sure that that High Tide Gyojin is not threatening my defenders as much as it has been.
We did see this in the first game. Sir, excuse me. I may have a response here.
What response would you have to
Oh, I have,
Rest?
if you played a real deck, I have what's arguably the best tech in the entire format.
Oh.
And that card is Tailor of the Fickle.
Tailor of the Fickle! I thought
Now-
that I had hallucinated that card being in the set because I didn't pull a single one.
Really?
Really? Not one.
Oh my god, this card is so crazy.
It's
so
so
with
good.
this, I can actually change Black Pendant to the Sonic Bird,
You
and the
can.
Sonic Bird will now perish instead, and you'll actually take 500 damage from this Black Pendant getting destroyed
What
too. So that
a
puts you down to
move.
14.
All right. Well, this is not looking great, Alex. I will set a card and end my turn.
I did get to keep the Gyojin as well, which means I can hit over some of your defenders, but not
true.
all of them.
It's not looking good for our hero today. Not that you're not the hero, considering you've played 2 spectacular combo decks, and I today have played Gravekeeper's Servant.
And it's about to get a little bit better when I
Oh boy,
activate
Alex.
the ritual spell Turtle
Oath! The boy
I
himself
sacrifice
is here.
Giant Rat and Red Archery Girl
Oh,
to summon
man.
the one, the only Crab Turtle!
Crab Turtle! The man himself. Oh, well, this could have ended better for me.
What makes you say that, Robert? What makes you say that?
Nothing in particular.
Let's go to battle phase. Let's hit over it. I still have to clear this, so I don't know if that's going to
It
happen.
is the ceremonial bell.
Oh, so I did need to have something to get over the bell at least.
You
I will
did
mill 2
indeed.
here, and it's the Gyojin and another card that should come up on Dueling Book, but I don't think it's going to matter because
It
I
is
can
not
hit with
gonna
my
matter.
Gyojin for what's presumably the end of the game here.
It is indeed, Alex. Well, I had a
Oh
gambit.
my god.
It was a wild one, and it did not end up paying off. You know, I had a deck roughly similar to yours, but generally just probably worse. So I got 2 Crab Turtle and 3 Turtle Oath.
Okay.
I
actually got the reverse. I got 3 Crab Turtle and 2 Oath.
which is much better with Sonic Bird in the game, because I
Correct,
only got
yes.
1 Senju.
I didn't get a single Senju, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So what's cool is I got this Banisher of the Light. This was my last light
And
target for
I
Shining
so
Angel.
wish that I had gotten that. My plan for this deck would have been substantially better if I had encountered that card. Or a
It's
single
a super
hero
rare,
strat.
to be fair. So, I
Yes.
mean, it wasn't likely to come. This was one of the few ways I had to out the Spear Cretan loop because Cretan has to be sent to grave in order for its effect to trigger. And so Banisher of the Light being face up means that that wouldn't be the case.
That's true, which probably wouldn't have been a terribly big issue for me because I did not intend to attack you at all this game. My actual strategy, which we did not see at all, is this, Alex.
That mystery card, 2 mystery cards.
Oh, I banished them face down. Allow me to reveal.
Okay. I'm like, you're really putting up the suspense, Kay, Cyberjar. You were literally just playing Mill.
I was playing Empty Jar, Alex.
You were literally playing fucking Empty
I
Jar.
was playing
3
Empty
Cyber
Jar.
Jars!
3 Cyber Jars. I played so many hands out, and the reason I decided to go with this instead of what I had was this deck, probably 50% of hands, I immediately start with the ability to wipe your board and establish the the Cretan loop within like 2 turns. So the strategy of this deck was, even though I only have 40 cards in deck, the combination of Horn of Light, Horn of the Unicorn, and Malevolent Nuzzler plus Eternal Rest gave me the opportunity to infinitely recycle my deck. And so even though I only had 40 cards, including some recruiters, I found that I could activate Cyberjar in combination with Spear Cretan 4 times and then continuously wipe the board as I so chose over the course of the game.
Wow.
And it just did not pan out. There were a couple of cards I wish I got, some bigger defenders. I only got 1 Ceremonial Bell. I didn't get any Heroes Shadow Scout.
1 bell?
I got 1 bell, Alex.
Oh my god.
And, you know, I took the risk. I took the 50% chance per game that I opened with the combination of Cyberjar and either a Mystic Tomato or a Spear Cretan, and it just didn't pan out. But I had to try it, Alex. It was right there in my hands. I had 3 Cyberjar, Alex, 3.
Unreal. I will say about this deck, like, this is jank. This is such jank. But I'm happy you played this because it shows just a different way to play this format out than what people, I think, were expecting. I think a lot of people going into this were thinking, you know, equip spell meta, which, to be fair, it still is. I mean, you're on a ton of equip spells. You're just utilizing them for a different purpose. And also Crab Turtle, too, right? I think Crab Turtle is actually legit in this format because there's just very little removal. And Crab Turtle's already big enough without an equip spell, which makes it immune to Eternal Rest. And so you would need to find a way to buff up one guy big enough to, like, hit over Crab Turtle, or just have, like, some other weird way to out him.
Or so, a Cyberjar.
A Cyberjar, exactly. I did pull a single Cyberjar, but this is ridiculous. 3 Cyberjars.
3 Cyberjar. I pulled nothing hugely special except the Confiscation and 3 Cyberjar. This face down is a giant Turnade, which didn't help me a huge amount in this deck, but is just too good a card to not run, especially in the instance that you end up with an Umiruka on the field. But I did pull 3 Cyberjar, and I knew I just had to try it, because exactly as you said, and this is what I said in my deck building, people are expecting to see us just normal summon big monsters, equip them with equip spells, put down field spells, and run over each other. But when I saw this, I knew there was a chance that I could pull off something truly special and deeply terrible.
Yeah. No, and like, look at my deck. I only have 6 to 7 more attacks left in my deck. And I was worried that with the recruiters not being the biggest attackers, that just running into all of your walls was going to be a problem. And if you were able to just keep establishing walls, or even just Cyberjar wiping my board and we have to reset, then that makes it even more difficult for me to actually win. And your strategy actually has some credence to it then. Gravekeeper's Servant, even though a lot of people make fun of it for being this playground staple, in very, very, very limited card pool environments, and the only removal is at a super rare that both of us did happen to get, it's not like the card goes away. It just gets bounced back to your hand. There might be a one-time moment reprieve where I can blow away your servants, get into some attacks, but then you set them back up again. So if I'm not killing you, then is that going to be enough, right? So in all fairness, if I didn't have the ways just to deal with your threats in this case, then I think you actually could have taken the second game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, after a big blunder in game 1 where I discarded your Spear Cretan when I could have discarded the Umiruka, remembering exactly the point, I actually sided against this mill strategy by siding in field spells to remove the Chorus of Sanctuary, to side in big beaters that I could take out my recruiters for to make sure that I'm losing fewer cards than my opponent. I just 100% whiffed it on that first Confiscation because I wasn't thinking about it. And that shows you just like, I think that if you didn't have that Umiruka, there was a very good chance that I could stall out until I saw a Cyberjar. And a Cyberjar probably put me right back in that game. So this format is on a nice edge.
It's very true. And I'm also very grateful that I had a nice water package, because I had 2 Mother Grizzly, the 2 Red Archery Girl, 3 High Tide Gyojin. I don't really count Crab Turtle because he's just kind of big regardless. Yeah. And so just being able to then pair that with the Umiruka, which I also had 3 of, I thought that Gyojin plus Umiruka is actually very intimidating, because that even gets over a recruiter plus Malevolent Nuzzler. And that is just already, like, when you think about the fact that that gets over a 2100, like that's just big. And he also just, again, gets over some of the larger defensive threats as well. So initially I wasn't going to play this water package, but as I started looking through all the playable cards I had, I started thinking about it, and just being able to just have this very small differential in attack power sometimes can really make a difference. So I figured I'd go for it. This is also like a weird way that if, let's say, Umiruka was active, then what could happen is if you were playing the Crab Turtle deck, then Crab Turtle, if I could curse a Fiend Crab Turtle, it would only be 2100 defense, and Gyojin is 2150. So this could also hit over a defense position Crab Turtle, because Umiruka lowers their defense by 400. So just these like little nuances I thought might come up if you were playing a deck similar to mine. And even though it didn't, I still think that strategy still paid off to a degree. Instead of playing some other cards, instead of playing these Archery Girls and these Gyojins, I had more floaters. You saw the Giant Rats this game. I wasn't maining those, and I only had 2 of them, and basically it was just so one could float into the other. And I also had 2 UFO Turtle as well. And again, no other targets, but the purpose was that I was thinking, if I'm trying to establish Crab Turtle, then I want to just always have monsters on the field. And so since they replace themselves and they're specifically level 4, that's the type of card I wanted in this deck. And so while I didn't main deck them, I did have the side deck plan to put them in. I took out like 1 Tailor of the Fickle, which is funny because it actually saved the Gyojin in this case. Brought in some of those I think I sided out the Spear Cretan loop because that favors you, and brought in more of the recruiters just to have some hitting bodies. I also got this.
What? Wow. Okay. If Magic Ruler had a meta, then your deck would be the tier 1 right here.
Yeah. I had Megamorph, Axe of Despair, Black Pendant, which Black Pendant's kind of whatever, but that and like a Gyojin actually is pretty big. Triple Nuzzler as well. I got the Trunade just like you did too. I did get a Cyber Jar, but I only got 1 of it. Only 1 Rush Recklessly, unfortunately, but I was super happy with my pulls. I don't think I could have pulled any better, to be. I even got Painful Choice, but like I don't even think Painful Choice is really that good in our format.
Yeah, Painful Choice is actually really terrible in this format. I didn't pull a single Rush Recklessly. My battle tricks were extremely limited, and while I had the cards I needed to put in like a really Ritual Monster Turbo deck, there was no reality in which I was going to build a Ritual Monster deck that would get me over the monsters you were probably going to be able to establish with just the basic cards that this set offered. Once again, your deck won, and it wasn't even down to those cards that you had that I didn't. You just played the meta strategy, and it was a great one, and I'm very glad that Crab Turtle got his time in the sunshine.
I remember as a child seeing Tailor of the Fickle and thinking to myself, when the fuck would anyone ever use this card? And I have now gotten to activate Tailor of the Fickle at some point in my life, and now I understand why. I think this card was just like specifically designed for Magic Ruler draft / sealed, because this is like the meta breaker in this set. This card is so good. I was initially kind of hyped up about Fairy's Hand Mirror, which does something very similar to this, but the problem with Hand Mirror is it has to be on activation specifically, and so if you already have a monster with an equip spell, then Hand Mirror doesn't do anything, but Fickle does, and the only other card that targets in Magic Ruler is Rush Recklessly, and you're using that in damage step anyway. So I'm not even going to have the opportunity to use Hand Mirror. So Fickle and Hand Mirror have all the same targets, but Fickle can be used at any moment. So I was main decking 3 of this, because if you had any Malevolent Nuzzlers, any Horn of the Unicorns, I was sucking all of them up, and I was just going to annihilate you with this. This card is insane.
It's so good. And this is what I love about this series, that we are going to be playing cards like Tailor of the Fickle in their intended circumstances, in places where we would have never gotten to see them in Constructed. We get to see Crab Turtle. Crab Turtle was a meta card for this episode. We got 3 Cyber Jar, which I'm sure nobody wanted to see, but is something that was unique to this episode. And we got to see Gravekeeper's Servant doing what Gravekeeper's Servant do. And for those of you who are in the audience and have had the grace of not having your childhood ruined by this card, now you understand.
I was really hoping you were going to fire off Toll again, because I wanted my life points to get low enough so I could Megamorph a Crab Turtle and just kill you in one shot with it. That was the plan. As soon as I saw Toll, I was like, all right, I know exactly what I'm doing, but it didn't ever get to that point. Megamorph's also neat because I could have had the attack of one of your things, but they were always in defense, so that didn't matter anyway. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Sealed Showdown. Pharaoh's Servant is up next, and just like Magic Ruler is to spell cards, it's going to be a very interesting episode. But to be fair, I think the cards in Pharaoh's Servant are a little bit worse. But
if you thought this episode was degenerate.
Yeah, it's going to get fun. It's going to get fun. We do have to shout out our patrons, though. So big shout outs to Shoutout1317, Showtagonist, Shot Alling Jr., Cameron Smith, Joshua Schlee, Ngayoko, Tim00x3, Ika Ironfang, Pony Stark, Ian Musa, Michael Dente, Dan the Manhoban, Par 2, Synchro Guy, Mystic Walk, Inyo Taisho, Draconic, Daluop, Dragon Lord, Jarvis Martin, Logan Thomas, Peter Gregory, Thomas Nelson, Jordan Coons, Calvin, Iron Bladesman, Pure Ace, Jesse Wood, True Nerdgasm, Cole T, Benjamin Fuller, Brother Paul, Chris Hood, Lumpy, Nehru Celeste, Shane Reese, We Don't Read Our Cards, very fitting, David Liu, Rockley325, Lane Rogers, Zachary Withelder, Brett Havey, Isidon, Grenmaju and Salad, Sky Rose, Dylan Hunter, Garthox DOW, John Two-Base, Apathy Astro, Brody Eastwood, Dace Allen, and Flannel Daddy. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and we will see you in Pharaoh's Servant.